Hello everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Satsang. It is very good to be back with you all live and in person. And after a couple of weeks of things that just had to be dealt with and a marathon travel time, took me quite a while to get back. The flights were overbooked, a whole bunch of different things. But at any rate, I am back. I'm back in the United States right now, back in Seattle, sitting in my son's house in the playroom, actually. On the other side of the camera is just loaded with toys and stuff. Um, so this is the satsang room for now, uh, till I decide where next is. At any rate, welcome. It's good. It's really good to be back with you all, to feel your energy, even though we're not in the same room. And there's a furnace that's very loud. So if there's kind of this rumbling in the background, there's nothing I can do about it. It just happens to be the furnace for the whole house, and it's like right over there. So at any rate, as I was putting this together and uh, setting it up to go live, it came to me to speak about the true self, the, the actual self of all things. The essence of everything is what the deeply spiritual and the scientist are both seeking. They're both looking for. They're both looking for the answer of what is the essence. That is, what is it that actually is? When you consider that everything is an appearance of something else. I mean, this body is a very well coordinated conglomeration of literally trillions of different individual cells, each one of those individual cells itself being a, a, a being, a living thing that is working in concert with other living things to create this body. And it's literally, hundreds of trillions if you consider the cells themselves that make up the body, but also the various kinds of bacterium, friendly bacterium, and the like, the whole biology of all these trillions of critters that live in us at any given time, that that make up this body. Well, what's the essence of it? If you Because it's an appearance of something else. It appears at this level of perception we see this body. If we zoom in on a cell, we get a very different picture, right? And the cells actually have some space in between them, and they're floating around and they're doing their things. And you look in closely, you see that the cell is made up of tiny bits and tiny particles. It goes down to the molecule, to the atom, and it keeps going. It just keeps going, and the search for the of those who want to know the nature of life, the nature of being, is to find that which absolutely is. And you could think of that also in terms of our desire to know ourselves. So who am I then? Am I nothing more than this this well coordinated collection of cells? Where's the sense of I in that? Is it a particular conglomerate, a particular group of cells got together and suddenly, but consciousness? I am self aware. Well, at what part? Is it a self aware molecule, a self aware combination? And where does this sentience come from? What actually is it? Which is the question. Well, then, who am I? What is the self? And this microphone I'm talking into, it doesn't have a sense of self. It isn't sentient. It isn't self-aware. It can't say I am. Neither is the camera I'm looking at, the couch I'm sitting on, the little mural behind me. None of they can announce themselves. This phenomena that we experience, that it experienced in all life forms, but it is at its peak in the human being, because in all of the life forms, there's a sense of I, there's a sense of being, there's a sentience, but there's no capacity to marvel at it, to be aware and know that you're aware. So what is this true self? What is the actual self? Now, in spiritual terms, we think of it as the capital S self. It's got names like God and Christ consciousness and Buddha nature, pure consciousness, the absolute, pure awareness. But those are all just words, right? They're all nice spiritual words. We might use them. And if I ask you a question, you might even give that to as an answer, so I don't bother you anymore. But let's try to go beyond those words to the actual self. Who is it that's looking out from through those eyes that are looking at your screen right now? I mean, isn't that yourself? Now, what if that was more than just yourself? What if it was the self? Now, there's thoughts about that sense of your existence, that sense of self-awareness, right? You know you're self-aware, right? If I ask you, are you aware? You will say yes, right? And you won't hesitate. Right? Oh yeah, I'm aware. Right? You're aware of your own being. Yes, I'm aware of my own being. What is it that's actually aware? What is it that knows that it is? This is the question that the sages have pondered for forever. It is a question that's being similarly examined in science, trying to find the essence of our being. So you know yourself as a self. There is some sense of self-awareness and self-consciousness that is registering my words, that's registering this event we're doing here, it's registering the picture on your screen, it's registering all of it. Isn't that you? I mean, isn't ultimately that which is perceiving? You'd have to call that, this is myself. It is I who is perceiving. Now we have all sorts of thoughts about that I. We have all sorts of identifications with that I. We have all sorts of ideas about it, right? But let's just try to look at the actual experience itself, the sense of I. And isn't it interesting that nobody here refers to themselves in the third person? You know, if I say, how are you, right? You say, how are you? Me, I don't say GP is fine. I say, I am fine. Isn't it interesting that referring to ourselves, we all have the same name? We all say I. We're all referring to this experience that is undeniable, that I am. I am having an experience. I am having feelings. I am having thoughts. I am engaging in conversation. This I. Right? Now, what if that I was way more than you thought it was? You know, consider something like silence or stillness. Is silence, peace, stillness? Let's just stick with silence for a second. Is silence divisible? Is like there a silence over there and another silence over here? Is your silence and my silence different? If we both come to a sense of silence or stillness, is yours different than mine? Now this is very subtle. the sense of I am, that sense of I that's registering everything, is that really different? Do you think that the experience you're having of I and the experience I'm having of I is completely different? What is being experienced? Yes, obviously. Right? I'm looking at a camera, you're looking at my face, or maybe just listening. Right? We're having different experiences, but I want to look beyond that to the essential experience we're having, which is that sense of me having an experience, an I, a me having an experience. Is that? Can you imagine that being different between you and I? That I'm having a different experience of me than that you are? Content, yes, but try to put your attention on the most subtle thing of all, that simply that sense of existence, that sense of having an experience. Just be with that for a moment. Do you really think that that's any different? If everybody comes to that place of simply being aware of being aware, is anybody's experience different from anybody else's? What that means is that the self that is having the experience that you call you and the self that is having the experience that I call me is the same self. One silence, one stillness, one consciousness, having multiple simultaneous experiences through multiple lenses of perception. But the essence of it, the actual self itself, that is the one self. That is the I am, which is universal. It is the theme throughout the entire universe. That is the true self, the only self. We have simply been educated, really enculturated, trained, programmed to think of that self as being divided, as being localized in a particular body, as even being that particular body. In which case, then, that all of a sudden the body's having trouble, and I go, oh my God, I'm having trouble, or the body's breaking down, like, oh my God, I'm breaking down. Or are you? Are you simply aware of the body doing stuff, which inevitably it's going to do through its constant transformation, changes, it ages and eventually dissolves? Is that which has been witnessing every single change along the way? Is that the body? And this is so powerful because when you realize that, you realize you are not the body, you become the infinite immortal self. You become boundless, timeless, no limits. And every one of your problems, every single problem you have, is the result of identification with body. The self is one. The I am is one. The I am that is self-aware here is the same I am that is self-aware there. It is only a thought that says we are different, we are separate. So I think I'll let that go for now. Let me go over here and say hello to everybody. Hello to everybody. I'm going to try to not call out all the names and try to get right into the questions, but I want to see lots of people saying thank you for doing your best to be here with us. Welcome back. Would you please break down the meaning of the phrase I am, who I am. Do you mean I am that I am? The phrase from the Bible you're talking about, I am who I am. I am what I am, as Popeye would say. Um, as I was talking about the I am, that sense of I am. That's who you are. Now, the experience that the I am has is different depending on the particular body that through which it is experiencing. Right? You take the sense of I am and put it in a cat body, give it a cat senses, and it would have the experience of a cat. It wouldn't have the self-awareness we do. It wouldn't be able to do the same things. It would have a cat life. Put it in a mosquito, you would have the mosquito experience. You could think of it as putting on, the virtual reality glasses, right? Change the program, you're going to have a completely different experience. Are you completely different? And this is what's key. We are so identified to the form that we happen to be experiencing in this moment, we have forgotten that we're simply wearing a very, very sophisticated set of 3D glasses, virtual reality glasses. This is such a good virtual reality that it's all the senses, taste, touch, smell, sight, hearing, all of them, including thought, the experience of internal dialogue and the like. So in a psychological sense, it is the I am who I am is just, I accept things the way they are. I don't have to try to bend myself into a shape to accommodate somebody else, to get love or to get money or to get attention or any of that. I don't need to do that. I can embrace this form the way it is, knowing that this form is not who I am. Right? So I am who I am is only the true self. Who you really are is the true self. That is the only way you can look at yourself. From the perspective of me having this human experience, I have this form. So it is through this form that gives me the perceptual context by which I can have any experience. It is through the form and which creates the duality that gives rise to experience. Without that, there is no experience. You can have no experience. So duality isn't a mistake. The mistake is believing that the duality is who you are, that you are simply a character in this vast duality, rather than the non-dual consciousness in which it is happening. And so consciousness presents itself to itself as many, and yet it always remains one. The way music can present itself in an infinite number of different songs, yet music itself remains one. And every song you can point at and say, that's music. I can point at you, Roberto, and say, that is the self, that is God. And I can point at everybody else and say exactly the same thing. The essence of all existence is the self. It is not a particle. It is not a mindless thing. It is not some kind of structure of matter. It's not an emergent property. The essence of all things is the self-aware self. And what all things are is the self-aware of itself. And that awareness experiences itself as many, as multiplicity, as variation, as novelty, as unfoldment, as time, as space. And yet that's not what it is. That's only how it's experienced. Any song that I hear is music, but that's not what music is. You can't articulate what music is, but you see it in the song. But it's not confined to it. So you experience life through the particular programming that you call Roberto. But you're not Roberto. Knowing this, actually liberates you from the programming and frees up the manifestation, frees up the form, frees up the body, and allows it to be the maximum that it can possibly be. And every form has its limits. It has to. There has to be a division, or there'd be no form. Only the self is formless. So I hope that helps you, Roberto. There's Ava and Robbie, Romania. There's Crispin. Good to be here. John in Ireland. My heart breaks for the Ukrainians, an example of uncontrolled and insatiable ego by Putin. I've been thinking a lot about this going on in the Ukraine, and yeah, I don't know what's up. I'm not so quick to just go. He's his the egotism of Putin, because these guys operate in a world of which we know absolutely nothing. The real drama going on is in the level of the world banks, the economics, the military, all of this sort of stuff. And we, for the most part, know almost nothing about what it is. These conflicts really have nothing to do with the people. We're just kind of in the middle of this elitist argument that is going on. And, something spooked him. But he, as all the countries of the world do, represent a particular state of mind that has become dominant. And that state of mind is self-destructive. So don't point the finger at Putin's ego unless you also point it at Trudeau and Biden and Johnson, and name any politician, anybody in a political role, and they're all the same. Right? This is how they're playing the game, and it's a dangerous game that they're playing, but they're not playing for any motivation or any reason you and I would. So it's important for us to not just make ourselves feel good by just there's the evildoer, there's the bad guy, because there's no such thing. There's only states of mind that get absorbed and embodied, and the state of mind that he's embodying is identical to the state of mind that's being embodied by every other government in the world. They have all lost their way. And so we need to let go of our preferences, let go of our ideas as to the way things should go, let go of pointing the finger at somebody in particular, and recognize that these are viruses of the mind that have infected humanity, and they've infected all of us. Every last one of us, and it should be our mission to expunge these things from our minds. So, in keeping with that, I'm actually decided to do something I've never done before. I'm going to do a 2-day prayer retreat to pray for the world, and it's not just going to be a vigil where we're all just going to sit around and chant or anything like that. It is going to be a workshop, because there's a variety of different ways of approaching prayer, but at the essence of it, there is a need for us to get in touch with our power, because this is really the deal. Is these guys that are basically destroying the planet can only do so because we feel like we don't have any power. And political power is gone. The U.S. is not a democracy anymore. It hasn't been for about 25 years. That's all gone, right? I'm not sure there are any democracies left, because they're all dominated by money and the banks and Wall Street and all of that. So, but we are not powerless. But the power lies in spiritual power, and discovering that spiritual power with a level of conviction and authority is what prayer is really all about. And there's levels of prayer. I've identified 4 of them, actually. The prayer of supplication, which is asking, a prayer of affirmation, a more mystical or metaphysical prayer that is more of a recognition, and then the really that which is closely related to what I was talking about earlier, and that is the prayer of I am, where the one praying and the one being prayed to are the same. And with at each step, the prayers become more powerful. But we can't solve this problem as long as we create an enemy, as long as we create someone who is at fault. What'll happen is, even if we get rid of them, somebody else will arise, because it has nothing to do with the individuals. So just want to point that out. That doesn't, that does not diminish, the horrible things that are happening, right? And now the attention is on Putin, and of course everybody wants a Putin because in the other places everybody wants to hate him, right? But every other country's done exactly the same thing. What America's done is even worse. So let's kind of pull back and find our power, because what we really simply want is a universal healing. We want the end of this virus of domination and imperialism and evil. We want it removed from the human psyche. So I will leave that at that. So thank you, John. Thank you. Hello, Diane. Good to see you. Prayers for healing and peace. Yes. Hendrik and Jay, good to see you. Earthbirth. Hi, Earthbirth. Yay. And a heart. Are you new? I don't remember seeing that name. Jojo loves it. Hello, Jojo. Johanna. Jojo, Johanna. There's David and Elaine. Hi, folks. Crispin says, I'm going to do a 10-day Vipassana retreat next Wednesday, and I find myself hoping to get enlightened there. Nice text, Ego. Yes, well, of course, yeah. You might. You might. I thoroughly enjoyed the 10 days of just absolute focused attention on feeling and sensation. And hours and hours a day spent just completely putting aside the story that is the ego, because it's just a story, and bringing your attention to the direct experience one is having. I found a lot of the stuff about it, their particular theology, I guess, their particular version of Buddhism, which they believe to be the real Buddhism. I find it to be kind of odd. I'd never heard a lot of the stories and stuff that they hold to be the truth. So there's a certain amount of kind of sectarianism there, but the practice and just being in that, having a space where you're completely dedicated for that period of time. You don't think about anything else. Somebody else is taking care of meals. All you have to do. You don't interact with anybody. You don't even look at other people. There's not even eye contact. You are completely withdrawn into yourself, out of the mind, and into the direct experience of the body, with the intent to go beyond the body, which you can do, okay? Which in a sense is enlightenment. All enlightenment is a recognition that I am consciousness. I am the self. That's it. That's all there is to it. And no special effects, no Hollywood thing. It's just this. It is just a realization that brings with it a certain amount of conviction. Okay? Does that make you a Buddha? No, no, it doesn't. But there's a conviction there that you already have. You wouldn't be showing up here if you didn't have that conviction. Right? If your attention wasn't already being redirected in this direction, even the desire to become enlightened would not even occur to you. What the heck is that? I want a new car. I saw a real cool BMW sports car today. I want that. But you're here. You're here, you're listening. Something inside you has already made that transition. That is the the that is the enlightenment happening. Don't think of it as this event that happens in a moment in time. It never is. It's something that happens outside of time. So you don't do this, and this step, and then you get enlightened, right? Enlightenment is creating the steps. Awakening is beckoning you to this retreat, right? To simply reveal itself to itself. Well, I'll just leave it at that, I think. Lydia, so good to see you. Steffi, hello, Steffi. Just want to say thank you. Some very special people here who are true friends to me. Beautiful. Happy birthday, Jill. Oh, it's your birthday today, Jill. Happy birthday to you. Very good. Very good. Let's see. I'm gonna do a 10 by myself. Okay, I saw that. Hello, Carl. GP, love you. Have you back. Sunday evening wasn't the same without you. At what age can you teach, guide a child, young adult to their true selves, or is it interfering with their journey? I wish someone had taught me when I was a teenager. It would have saved me decades of torment. Thanks again for your time and advice. Um, mm, well, there's no cut and dry thing. You get to this age, and it's going to be different for every child. You're talking about your own children. The best education is your own awakening. It's your own it's your own conviction and your own adherence to what's true. So the energy field you're creating around them is already open and responsive. You have to remember that all of us do need to make that plunge. We all have to fall into identification with the body. That sense of consciousness contracting and identifying itself with a particular form. We all have to experience that. If we don't, we remain children, or like animals, right? Which are in complete harmony with everything. They live in undifferentiated consciousness, right? But they do not have the capacity for enlightenment simply because they don't have the capacity to identify at all. And so they have to follow, and this is the hardest thing for a parent to endure who is conscious, who is coming up the other side of that arc. It's the most difficult thing to do, but so you simply are there. This is where you learn enormous compassion, and you can tell, having talks with them, when you can bring stuff up, say, have you ever looked at it like this? There's a point when they're teenagers, they could be receptive to it. But once again, your example, the way you are, is going to be the strongest teacher. The more happy you are, the more content you are, the more conviction you hold, the more patient and tolerant you are, the more contemplative, the more you're willing to not jump to conclusions about things, or point accusatory fingers, but there's always another side to this. Let's look more deeply together. There's ways where you can basically cultivate the ground that they will just naturally walk on. So it's not interfering in that sense. That the desire to show somebody their true self is not an interference. When you try to impose it, become an evangelical, then you are interfering with it. But if you maintain this just respect for them, as an autonomous human being that has to come to the truth themselves, and acknowledging that their life is in fact exactly what they need for them to come to the full awakening to who they are. And in their life, you are a player. You are a key player if you're a parent. Right? Anybody who's actively involved in the child is a part of that. So there's a role for you to play in that, but you're not the composer of this. You're not making it happen. You're simply playing a role in this cosmic drama, and they're the star. Everybody's the star in their own cosmic drama, and everybody else plays a role within it. And that's the wonder of it. Everyone is the center of the universe, and when that center recognizes itself as such, and the barriers fall off. When it's constricted, I am the center is the ego. When that falls away and that center becomes everywhere, it is awakening. So hopefully that helps you, Carl. Happy birthday! Tomorrow's birthday, GP. How did everybody find out it was my birthday? I don't tell anybody, but it's tomorrow. Yes, it is. It is tomorrow. So, my son, what do you get? What do I get to my father's? He doesn't live anywhere. When am I going to get him? So he said, I know. I'm going to get a $70 bottle of wine to go. So we shared a $70 bottle of wine last night for my birthday, which is. But they're going out of town. So 70. Wow, it seems like a long time, doesn't it? And my friend gave me a party in Germany before I left with big balloons that spelled out 70. So thank you again, Steph. Johanna, how do romantic relationships work for spiritually awakened people when nothing feels personal anymore? Does the love from the other person still somehow feel personal to you? Let's not misunderstand this, right? Relationships are personal. We have personal relationships with people, right? Some become very close. Some become romantic, right? Some become very, very intimate. Some are for life, right? There's a bonding that takes place for life, and so there is, in that sense, it's a very positive, very beautiful, personal thing because it's intimate, it's shared. It's not universal. You're not all having it. It's something. It's beautiful, right? Kind of that specialness between two people that can finish each other's sentence and look at each other across from the room and know what each other are thinking, and there's that kind of merging of spirits, right? So when we're talking about it being impersonal, that does not exclude personal love, right? It enhances it, right? The losing of the personal means I'm losing the sense of me being a particular being. What now? This may sound strange, but when you do that, you now see all the supposed others as yourself, but you experience it as an other. It's like when you have a dream at night and you're in a room full of people, all those people are you. And that's clear when you're dreaming. Well, not when you're dreaming and you're talking to people and you're having, and it's, if there's in the dream, they're an other. When you wake up from the dream, you realize it wasn't another at all. It was me. Every face, every character, every word was all coming from myself. Now, if in the waking dream, I see that if I try to say they're all coming from myself, without understanding the infinite nature of the self, it'll become very cluttered spirits. It'll be the ego trying to figure out how am I one with everyone. and you can't do it. But when you find that I am, that you are, is the same I am in everyone, that does not diminish the differences and the variety and the interaction and the intimacy and the sweetness. Matter of fact, it makes it more sweet, because what is love except oneness, right? What is it we're seeking in romantic love other than that sense of just disappearing into somebody else, forgetting yourself in somebody else? That's the joy of it, right? When your greatest happiness is making somebody else happy. And what that love points to is the ultimate union of being one, of there simply being one soul, one self. And you're simply experiencing two faces on the same soul. And that's love. That's the real nature of love. But like everything else, love in its essence is indivisible and infinite and universal. It's the nature of being itself. But like music, it must express itself. And in order to express itself, it must have two, at least two. So in a romantic relationship, you have one love that is manifesting itself in a very unique circumstance. In the case of romantic love, or parent and child, or friends, or colleagues, or work, all of these things are variants of the central theme of love. When you recognize that, you see it is all under the auspices and the control of love. And at that case, in that point, the romantic relationship can be sweetened and also turned to the deepest purpose, which is an aid to every individual realizing their oneness with the whole, realizing themselves as the self, and that what is being experienced is the nature of the self itself. But as I keep trying to point out, this is really subtle because it's not two. The one, in order for there to be any expression at all, must become two. So this is the great mystery. It becomes two without ever stopping being one. And my favorite metaphor for that is music in the song. Right? In order to have a song, I mean, you can have a song a cappella, or you can have a 130-piece orchestra playing the same thing. All of these together making this unified whole, all playing off the same page. So there's a oneness and a manyness simultaneously. They're not two. This is what the mind cannot grasp. So you just take it. Just take it that you're experiencing the self, and the name of the self is love. So it's not me trying to be one with somebody else. This me that I call me is the one manifesting itself. So there's no me trying to become one with somebody else. There's only the one expressing itself as the many. Everyone is like that. Everyone, right? Even Putin or Biden or Johnson or Trudeau or anybody that's involved in any of these. I can't remember them. It was Merkel. I can't remember the one in Germany now. But it's them too. There's nobody's left out of this picture. Right? There's no one outside of that. There is no other self. So does that help, Joanna? Does that help? I keep trying to point to this thing that is just the mind can't grasp, because one and many being identical, what is the mind? The mind can't do anything with that. It has to have two. It has to make two separate things to interact. So it can deal with the manifestation of two, but it assumes that these two are not one. They can't be. How can they be one? To the mind, one is just numeric. It's one thing, right? But it's not a thing, right? That's the point. It isn't a thing. If it was a thing, there would be many of them. It would have a boundary. It doesn't have a boundary. It's not a thing. It is love itself. And if you see it as love itself, then every feeling you have of love is love itself. Every moment of affection is love itself. There's nothing but love. Even the worst actions taken by people is simply a love that has been constrained. It's been bounded. It's been made small. Right? It's made and created an imaginary boundary that says, okay, love on this side and other on the other. It has lost the sense of that oneness of love, made an other, and that territory there is what we call hate or indifference. Know yourself as love, and that everything is love. And all you need is love. So, thank you, Johanna. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if it didn't. Hello, Touch. That's right. Okay. I don't like to tell anybody because I get a million things on Facebook of happy birthday, happy people. I have no idea who they are. Oh, there's that big name. Let's see. Maskaran Has. Saraj. So happy to see you. Love you, G. Love you too. Hendo 5N. What difference between a human and a rock? Self-awareness. Yeah. The rock, if we think of consciousness as being localized, that there's my consciousness here and there's another consciousness over there, then the rock isn't going to make any sense. But if consciousness is the universal field, it is subtler than space itself, but as pervasive as space, then everything is simply a form of consciousness appearing in consciousness. So your awareness of the rock, right? Don't think that the rock has a certain kind of consciousness, right? The rock is consciousness. That's all there is consciousness. Everything is consciousness because consciousness is the self. And the big advantage of the human being is that I know I am that consciousness. And everything else is that consciousness. So I literally am the consciousness of the rock. Nothing is outside of consciousness. It is made of consciousness, whether it appears to be something totally inanimate, like a rock, or it appears to be brilliantly animated, like an animal or a human being. It is all appearing in the one consciousness. And you are that one consciousness. What other consciousness do you know except the one that's hearing my voice right now? That consciousness is the consciousness, and all of us are in it. So the difference between the human and the rock, from the point of view of consciousness, is absolutely nothing. Different manifestations of exactly the same thing. What's the difference between a flute and a tuba? Well, yeah, the flute and the tuba sound very, very different, right? But in essence, they're the same. They're musical instruments, and in certain pieces require both. Right? We require rocks, and we require humans. We require cheetahs, and we require frogs. Right? It is all consciousness. It's not a world where consciousness is in things. All things are in consciousness. And you are that consciousness. Pay attention to the fact that you are self-aware. Don't project that self-awareness out there, but just become completely mystified and overwhelmed at the wonder of you are conscious. You are self-aware. That's the doorway. Don't be projecting it out there and go, yeah, well, the consciousness there and there. Forget about it. You don't even know what's out there. Right? You don't even know if any of this exists at all. You could be having a dream. You could be asleep on another planet. Right? The only thing you know for sure is that I am conscious. I am aware. I'm aware of a whole bunch of things. Focus the attention on that awareness. That is the door that will open to the rest of it. Thank you, Hindu. Jay, I was listening to a satsang Mooji did a few weeks ago, and he was talking about a proper guidance needed even after the awakening. How long is this guidance needed? Does it eventually come down to the student's sincerity in the inquiry? Well, for most, the awakening is not this ta-da, right? The trumpet sound, Gabriel sounds the horn, and it's the end of the story. You've already experienced it, Jay, to a certain extent, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Right? This wouldn't be interesting or attractive to you to sit and listen to this old guy go on and on, right? So my experience is that when people begin to have these initial glimpses that are not the ultimate liberating glimpse, but a glimpse that begins to drive the whole story forward, that there's still so much conditioning and programming going on. There's still so many habits of the mind that you need guidance sorting it all out, watching for the potholes, not falling into the various kinds of traps that are natural after lifetimes of identification with the egoic mind. And so, yeah, it becomes a matter of getting better at the inquiry, becoming better and better at seeing that is just a thought. That's all it is. And so there's no truth in it. It doesn't have an inherent truth in it. It may have a certain utility in the moment, but it does not possess truth. What is the truth? I am the truth. That's it. Because I am, right? I am what is. That's truth, being. What is? It's the truth, right? What? How many different ways I can say it? So you are the truth. It's not a truth about you. It's what you actually are. And so it becomes a deepening, seeing more and more clearly that, oh, that's not what I am. And noticing how the conviction gets deeper, fear gets less, the intimidation of thoughts, when old stuff, patterns and the like surface, they don't overwhelm you anymore. And little by little, until finally the whole egg just kind of cracks, and the whole dance of Maya is just kind of something happening off to the side. It doesn't stop, obviously, until the body has completely dissolved. But it no longer, you no longer believe it, you're no longer engaged with it, it's no longer intimidating you, and at that point you're free. We become free of suffering long before Buddhahood is reached. You become the bodhisattva. So the sincerity of the student in the inquiry, yes, but don't turn it into a discipline, right? You fall in love with somebody, you don't need a schedule or a discipline to think about them. Fall in love with the inquiry, and sincerity won't be an issue anymore. Just fall in love with this question of, well, who am I? Who's everybody? What is the essence of all? Where did all this come from? What is the the root, the fundamental, the essence of all of this experience, which is so amazing and phenomenal and mysterious? Right? Let that drive you, and it will transform all lesser desires. Desires are just, for which doesn't mean you become a monk and you go off to the forest or something like that. What it means is that this seeing the incredible mystery and beauty and wonder of self-aware existence eventually just kind of replaces all the lesser desires, the desires that are starting with the most gross, right? The ones that are purely indulgence, the ones that are trying to find happiness in things, they begin to fall away, and you become more and more subtle, more and more nuanced, and that's the purification. You're becoming more and more you. It isn't pure like some kind of like moral code. It's like what isn't you is falling away. what's been conditioned and added on, and beliefs and assumptions and stuff that was kind of laid on you that you took in as true, those fall away. You go, oh, that's not me. That it isn't true. It's just a bunch of beliefs people had, and they fall away. And with it falls away the manifestation of it, the fear, the self-doubt, all of that, and all of that is coming from the be willing to make the inquiry. The self-inquiry is the pinnacle of spiritual practice, because it's not even a practice. Practice is something you do, you repeat to get good at it, right? But the self-inquiry is not something. It's not a skill you're trying to acquire. It's a sober and engaged look into, who am I? What's really going on here? Am I who I thought I was? And you can see that's not a practice. I don't practice to make that go away. It's an inquiry, and it's a discovery. And when you discover, oh, I'm not, boom, it's over. You don't need to practice anything. So the culmination, the highest form of spiritual engagement is self-inquiry. And enlightenment is not possible without it. That's from the Ribhu Gita. Without inquiry, you, no matter how devoted and devotional you might be, you won't be able to make that final step. So, how's that, Jay? Good, buddy. Hello, Ursula. David and Lane. Ramana Maharshi said the greatest service one could perform for humanity is to realize and awaken to the true self. Oh my God, yes. How poignant this message seems in light of the appalling situation in the Ukraine. Yes, it is the highest calling. What could be more powerful? What could be a more powerful influence on the affairs of men than someone who knows who they are? Someone who has realized they are the infinite self, and that not only they are the infinite self, every being everywhere is the infinite self. And that becomes the state of mind that is witnessing the events going on. Can you fathom how powerful and influential that would be, even if it's never broadcast on the airways? That it's just you knowing it, just down at the most fundamental level, energetic level of the global universal human consciousness. It is going to have an effect. So yes, the characters of Ramana and Christ and Shankara and Papaji and Muji and Buddha and the effect that they've had is far beyond even what we can imagine, far beyond what has been even recorded historically. The entire process that all of us are going through right now is a direct result of it. The awakened one. Thanks for that, David Lane. Sean, good to see you. Jojo loves it. Sometimes that experience that I am aware of being aware is extremely uncomfortable. It's very important. This is very important, and thank you for bringing that up. Here's the inquiry. What is it that's uncomfortable? Is awareness uncomfortable? Or is discomfort something awareness is aware of? So what is it that's uncomfortable? Isn't it our preconceived notions, our assumptions, our conditioned patterns that are no longer holding sway over your all your actions and thoughts and feelings? It's beginning to kind of break down that these are just assumptions. They're not really the truth. Isn't that what's feeling the discomfort? The whole mechanism of conditioning that's been, moving along in a particular direction. It's no different, really, than fold your hands like this, but just fold your hands like this, the way people normally do, right? And then notice which thumb is on top, right? Left or right. Now just fold them again, only put the other thumb on top and fold them. Notice how uncomfortable that feels? Do the same thing with folding your arms, and then try to. It's even actually kind of hard to do. It's habit, nothing more. Awareness brings you out of habit, and the habit's going, whoa, what's going on? Just like doing this. It feels weird. Now, if you every time you made yourself do this, eventually this wouldn't feel weird anymore. And then if you did the opposite, it would. So this is really what's actually feeling discomfort. So turn this into a deeper inquiry by going, okay, I'm aware of being aware, and now I'm aware of discomfort. Am I that discomfort? Or is that simply something I am aware of? And you see it's a little bit more complex. Oh, there's a discomfort there. Oh, there's also a sense of I don't want this discomfort. Oh, but I'm aware of that too. Suddenly you go, oh, there's an I here. There isn't just discomfort. There's a sense of I that doesn't like it. Is this who I am? Is that I who I am? Or is that something else I am aware of? If I can be aware of it, it can't be me. Right? Do you follow that? Anything that I can perceive can't possibly be me because it's another. It's there. I'm looking at it. What's looking at it? So the discomfort can't be me. The I that says, I don't like this discomfort, or as you put, I am aware, is it, or even calling it, it's really uncomfortable. Is that you? Or are you that which is simply aware of this content? And at times that awareness can become so withdrawn into itself that it is simply aware of being aware. And other times things are appearing in that awareness. Being aware of being aware is just is communion with yourself. But then things are going to come up, right? Does that, if something comes up in awareness, does that make you less aware of being aware? Are you still not aware that you're aware of that? Where's the I? Which one is the I? The discomfort? That feeling that I don't want that discomfort? Any story about that discomfort, where it came to, why it's happening? Any sense of I that likes or dislikes or prefers or doesn't? Or is I that which is aware? And is that awareness ever uncomfortable? The awareness itself, is it uncomfortable? Or is discomfort just and comfort just something that appear and disappear, just like waves on the ocean? Take that inquiry all the way and don't stop. This is often the case in, as I was telling Jay before, why we need to have continued guidance in that, because something comes up, it's uncomfortable. As though, isn't the spiritual stuff supposed to get better and better and more peaceful? Right? If you believe that, then a discomfort coming up is going to be a problem, and suddenly now you're trying to solve a problem. No, stay with the inquiry. Okay, who is aware of the discomfort? Well, that's me. Am I? Since I'm aware of that, I can't be that discomfort. And there's something more subtle that doesn't like that, wants to get rid of that. That can't be me either. Why? because I'm looking at it. I'm aware of it. And there's spiritual ideas that I shouldn't be experiencing that. No, I shouldn't be experiencing that. No. Another thought. Am I that thought, or am I that which is aware of it? You just keep digging into the inquiry, till you just, there's nothing here but me. The pure me is untouched by all of it. Thank you, Jojo. Jim Rich, nice to accidentally meet you. Wow, there are no mistakes. I found you by sitting here watching another video when you popped up. Cool. Good. Wonderful. Glad to have you, Rich. There are no mistakes. No. Mistakes are just what the mind likes to call a mistake. Right? Because there's a personal sense that I'm making choices, and I made a choice thinking I was heading that way, and I ended up heading that way, and I call that a mistake. Right? It's a mistake or it's serendipitous. It really just depends. I mean, the movie is a comedy or it's a drama. It only depends on where they fade to black and it says the end. Right? Because all comedies have to have some kind of little dramatic thing going on, and all dramas have a little comic relief. It's really where you just happen to fade to black, and oh, that's a drama, that's tragedy, that's a comedy. Life doesn't fade to black. Well, it does, but it's kind of different. Tatiana, the self is one. So beautiful, so comforting. Thank you, GB, for endless wisdom you've been sharing with all of us. Thank you. Self is one. Yes. Ponder that, and you'll see that it can't be any other way. And that realization will just open the floodgates till your entire being embraces that. Dale says, welcome back. Thank you. Tian, hi, GP. Is that sense of I am the source of fulfillment and satisfaction? How come I do not feel it? What to do to feel it? Thanks, GP. It's not the source of fulfillment and satisfaction. It is fulfillment and satisfaction. Now, I'm going to push you more towards the inquiry. Is that sense of I am the source of fulfillment? How come I do not feel it? Right? Now, notice you're talking about the I am as something other than you. That's why you don't feel it. Because you're seeing it as something out there, as a someone, as a God somewhere. And I'm going to get to this I am. Well, the I am, if it's the I am, is the I am. So the I am is the one to whom this question appeared. The one that's hearing my voice right now. Tien, you are the I am. And it's only because we think of it as something other than us, and that it has all the goodies. It's got satisfaction and fulfillment and love and fun, and it's got all the goodies. How do I get that? Notice there's a sense of I, right, that says I am separate. Right? But now just stop for a second. I am separate. Now just drop the separate. I am. Whoa, wait a minute. I am. Now that I am is the creator of the universe. So if you, the creator of the universe, say, I am separate, you will create a universe in which you are separate. You will experience separation and wonder where the I am is. You are the I am. You are fulfillment and satisfaction. Right? Don't look to your feelings to confirm that, because they'll only confirm the leading thought, the leading belief, the leading assumption. So if I believe myself to be separate from fulfillment and satisfaction, I will feel separate from fulfillment and satisfaction. Not because I actually am, but because I have created that as my experience. Because that's all the I am does. The I am being you. The street name for I am is me. Isn't it you who say I am this, I am that, I am the other? Is it not you who says that? So is there some other I am out there? Are we talking about you, the one who's saying it? So that means I am that you, that I am, is satisfaction and fulfillment. Now just take that in that, oh, I am that. It is not something other than me. And be with it, even in the face of your feelings testifying to something else. And the only reason they are is because there's been this belief running, right, that you're separate from it, which has created the experience of it. So just realizing that I am that at first usually is not enough to completely undo what could be literally lifetimes of rehearsing and practicing and experiencing something completely different. It doesn't make it true. It will never make it true. It isn't true. It will never be true, but I will create it and have the experience of it as true because I believe it. That's how powerful you are. The I am creates as experience whatever is believed. Why we have to get to the belief. You are the I am. You are the source of satisfaction and fulfillment, nothing else. Recognize that, and then just vigilantly begin to undo, to deny, to dismantle all the thoughts that say you're not. And don't be concerned with the fact that if you don't feel like it, right? What does that mean even, right? We have an idea of what it's supposed to feel like. What if this is just the way it's supposed to feel? Right? The enlightened one feels satisfaction and dissatisfaction and regards them both as just clouds passing in the sky. Does that help? Does that help, Tian? Beautiful question. Beautiful question. Really allowed me to kind of zoom in on that because it's such a powerful thing. And you can see the subtle ways in which we disown ourselves as the self. And we invent another self. And this is the Western heritage, of course. Well, not just the Western, but this is the total of the West. The Abrahamic religions are all based on God, the I am, as the ultimate other. Right? This idea creeps into everything. It creeps into Buddhism and Hinduism and Shinto and all of them. All of them, because the one thing the mind just cannot grasp is that it already is what it's seeking. No, I can't be. If I was really the self, I'd feel like this. Who said? Jesus' first temptation was, if you're the Son of God, come on. If you're the Son of God, come on, do something fancy. Do a miracle. Turn this bread into stones into bread because you're hungry, right? It's been 40 days. Come on. That was the first temptation. If you are that. He didn't buy it. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks. Thanks for that, Jan. Hey, Dale. Thank you for welcoming me back. I am you. So good to see you and all again. My question, if our real existence is this infinite being that is apparently independent, why then is it dependent on experiencing what it is not? Wow. Because that's only how we interpret it. We interpret it as it experiencing that which is not. You cannot experience something that isn't. You can have no experience of that which does not actually exist. Therefore, what the self is experiencing at all times, that is, what you are experiencing at all times, is yourself. And isn't that the case? I mean, just look, aren't you always experiencing yourself? Every other experience comes and goes. Satsang will be over here in a little bit, and you won't be experiencing me anymore at all, or any of the questions, or any of the people here. Okay? We're gone. But you'll still be there. Your experience of you is always there. That's the self, right? Now let's just stay with that for a second. Right? If what I'm experiencing, like when you have a dream at night, this is why sages use the metaphor of a dream so consistently, because it so illustrates what we're talking about. When you're in the dream, it feels as if you're experiencing others. And of course, if you didn't, there'd be no dream, right? So you're having conversations and things and people and places, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not so fun, right? All these experiences. Now, when you wake up, you realize that you had that experience, but it was not objective. You weren't really talking to anybody. It was all you. So you were one with it. The experience I was experiencing myself. I was experiencing myself appearing to me and talking to me as this imagined other. It was completely and totally subjective. What it is not, right? So in the dream, it seems as if you're experiencing what you are not, an other, but in fact you are experiencing you. There isn't anything other than the self. It is not experiencing something it is not. Right? There is simply this one thought that what I am experiencing exists independent of my experiencing of it. That it has an objective, concrete existence, that it has a self, that there's a self there and there's another self here, and I am experiencing attributes of a self that exists independent. I am not. I am experiencing attributes of the consciousness that I am. So in a dream, everything in that dream is simply mind. It is simply forms of consciousness. That is what all of this is. Forms of consciousness. The belief is that it exists independent. That's what is not. That one thought is it. That's the whole thing, right? This exists independent. It has a self. That's in Buddhism. That's why they say it has no self. It doesn't have that concrete existence. And a good example of that is color. We say that this shirt is maroon, and this is black and white. The couch is tan, or the flowers are red. The grass is green. The sky is blue. No, they're not. This is not red. Color is not an attribute of this object. It is an attribute of light. You are seeing light, not this. Now, imagine that light had the capacity to self-modulate. So it didn't really need to reflect off of anything. That light itself could just decide, I'm only going to show maroon in these various shades in this little space. I'm going to give it a background. You would see an image that you're seeing right now, and there'd be nothing there other than light, right? You wouldn't be able to tell the difference, would you? Well, in fact, that's what's happening. Imagine a substance that can self-modulate to the point where it not only can do that with light, it can do it with sound, it can do it with taste, smell, and touch, and thought. and you'd have a completely subjective experience. There'd be the experience of an actual objective world, and yet there would be no objective world. It would be this self-modulating substance. That self-modulating substance is consciousness. That is what all of this is. Consciousness modulating itself, creating a universe modeled after itself, characterized by itself, appearing to itself, made of itself. And you are that. You are that consciousness. Everything is. It is, I don't know how else I can put it. Does that help? Break down the idea that there's something that I and what I'm experiencing are different. Could anything exist without me there to bear witness? Well, yeah, it would exist. If I'm there or not, it still exists. But wait a second. Isn't that it's there whether I'm there or not? Isn't that something being conceptualized within consciousness? No consciousness whatsoever. Can anything exist? This is an inquiry to make. It's something to probe. It's not something I could just give you the answer. I mean, I actually just did give you the answer, but the mind's going to be kind of slow to accept that because it's so different, right? So it's the kind of thing you have to penetrate, you have to contemplate, you have to ponder, you have to kind of start poking into your own assumptions. Go, what if this is the way it actually is? I mean, if it's nothing but consciousness, and it isn't, me here and a universe out there, would it look any different? I mean, if the sun actually was going around the earth and the earth was sitting still, would what we experience as sunrise, sunset, and all, would it look any different? When we realized that it wasn't, that it was the earth that was spinning, did things look different? It looked the same. Right? We simply came out of the illusion of what was happening. The experience was identical, but we were no longer subject to the delusion. We now saw it as it actually is. This is the nature of consciousness. Nothing changes. Experience remains what it is. But you are now free of all the fear and doubt and worry that comes with the idea that it exists separate from myself. But the self that it doesn't exist separate from is not the personal self. That's also just thoughts and ideas appearing in consciousness. And I guess I'll let that go. I'll let that go there. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's see. Suraj. I'm just going to say Suraj because that's my first name. Even though I'm experiencing a lot of health issues, like really weak, poor memory, that's my body. But as far as true me, can I say I am perfect energy, perfect health, perfect wholeness? Absolutely. And if you realize that, you have cleared the way for spiritual healing. We don't make the body, just as I was talking about with Siraj, right? Consciousness, it is all consciousness. Therefore, whatever's believed gets manifested in consciousness. The reality is there is no illness. There is no sickness. It is a belief. It is not a reality. There's nothing, there is no body. It's not an objective thing. It is the experience of consciousness, nothing more. It exists in and of consciousness. So yes, know yourself as the self, and you will say unequivocally, I am perfect energy. I'm perfect. I am always in perfect health. And the body will do what the body has to do. But anything, and you'll actually take better care of the body. You'll be more sensitive to what has to happen, the kind of foods and that sort of thing need to be eaten. It won't be a blatant disregard. Drink nothing, do nothing but drink Coke and eat donuts. Although it is possible, I've known people that have done it. I think of that as a waste of time. You are perfectly healthy. How can you be more healthy than immortal? You are pure awareness. Let your sense of I am be that the awareness that is aware of the body, and you will no longer fear for your body. It will do what it needs to do. And at some point, all bodies just say, we're done. Shoop. Right? It's no big deal. It doesn't really die because it's never alive in the first place. It's just a function, a process going on. And that process will end. And you'll watch it end. Just the way you watched it beginning. You go, wow, that was interesting. Maybe I'll do that again. Maybe not. Does that help? Does that help, Siraj? No, it wasn't Siraj. It was I am you saying it there. Okay, I got those confused. Tatiana, thank you for calming the Ukraine crisis the way you did. It's about a state of mind, not just one person. By hating Putin, we are joining that state of mind. Yes. Yeah, we don't really know all the things that are motivating people. Because I've heard him say some things that were like, wow, the guy really gets it, right? And then other things not, right? And a move like this, I've heard a whole bunch of different things going back and forth as to what this is about and why, and all of that. But it doesn't do us any good to take a position. First off, none of us have access to enough information to be able to do that. So just kind of recognize we're in this state of ignorance, and then just conquer our own fears about what this means and what's going to happen, what's going to the world, and even our fears for the people in the Ukraine. Let's hold them in that power. Because these states of mind that are dominating thing are not the truth, and therefore they eventually collapse. They have to. So how do we expedite that? Well, we become the living witnesses to the truth, and the truth is love. That's what expedites the end of this kind of thing going on in the world. That's why I'm going to do my little prayer vigil. Let's see. Oh, she continued. I know all sickness begins with the thought, so I'm trying to know what thoughts I can hold on to change the sickness. What can I think to become healthy all over again? Let go of the idea of trying to change the sickness. Right? See, what happens is we get this idea, I can overcome the sickness. And then our focus is so much on the body and on the sickness to get the sickness to go away. Right? In that process, we've made it real. We've made it a real thing that we have to deal with. We have created an external entity. See that sickness is a thought. It is not a condition of the body. And eliminate all thoughts of being anything other than the self. And then let the rest take care of itself. Don't worry about it. Don't care whether it's there or not, right? This is the true freedom, when it no longer matters, right? I could get all up in arms, at 70 years old, all of a sudden, I had a concussion. I fell up and got a concussion. I've had some lapses of things. I can see. I could even go, oh my God, it's terrible. How do I overcome this, right? How do I try to be like I was when I was 30? It's like, why? There's a function. There's a process going on. This is all part of life, right? And I've got no issue with any of it, and none of it's me. All of it is just consciousness unfolding in this particular set of circumstances, all of which came from me, all of which I created. So enjoy your own creation, recognizing that that sickness is just a thought. And no, don't try to get other thoughts to get rid of that sickness. Just recognize, it's a thought. That's all it is. Sickness does not exist as an entity. and then you simply don't think it anymore. And so when something goes wrong in the body, or so, you don't even call it sickness. Oh, something's going on in the body. What do you need, body? What can I give you? Until something goes wrong in the body to the point and it just kind of stops functioning. And I don't have access to these senses anymore. I'll still be around. You guys aren't getting rid of me that easy. Peter, welcome back, GP. Wonderful. Wonderful to be here again. Peace, love, and wisdom from Italy. Thank you for sharing knowledge and for the beautiful pointers, always resonating deep inside. Ah, beautiful. That's what I want. I want that resonance. I find that the resonant frequency, that when I hum it, you all just get enlightened. Good to see you too, playing. Ava, beautiful idea of such workshop prayer. Waiting for that. Yeah, good. 2 weeks. Yeah, it's going to be, I think, the 19th and 20th. 2 days, 3 hours each, Saturday and a Sunday. So on that Sunday, satsang will be after that. It's going to be my time 8 to 11. So then, is that right? Yeah, 8 to 11. Yeah, so it'll be early on the West Coast, but I wanted to make it so that we could all participate. King Walsh. Hey, Jonas. You kiss my ring. Earth Birth. Yes, I'm new. Thanks to Jojo. Thanks for your wisdom. It's greatly appreciated. You're very welcome. Hello, Barbara. When will the workshop be? Yes, the 19th and 20th of March. I'll be telling everybody. I'll be sending out an email. I'm just putting all this stuff together for now and actually figuring out what I'm going to do for 6 hours. And in April, I'm going to do another one, Tapping for the World, where we're going to use EFT and stop thinking about ourselves and tap as if we were tapping for the whole world, because we can do that. Can you, let's see. Okay, King Walsh. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Can you please suggest methods for helping me to translate thoughts and feelings into words in a concise manner? Thanks. Earth Birth. Well, what I would suggest is, you know, some people are born orators, right? They can just speak. They can put things into words. Not everybody has to do that. Some people are born scientists. Some people are born mathematicians. Some are born accountants. Some are born musicians. A particular form of expression. What I would say is, allow yourself the freedom to express what you can express, right? Not judge it, saying, God, I don't express myself very, very well. I can't translate thoughts and feelings into words. Drop that self-talk and instead really get to know your thoughts and your feelings, so that they're not enemies, that you're not identified with them, that thoughts are not something that dominate you, right? But yet you're aware of them. You're very clear as to what it is you're feeling. The more clarity you have internally as to the nature of your own internal experience, the more you're going to find you very naturally express it in words, in deeds, in touches, in hugs. There's all sorts of ways to give expression to our thoughts and our feelings. And in that process, we begin to kind of break down all of the obstacles to self-expression. And that's really what it comes down to. Children are naturally self-expressive. I'm spending time with my granddaughter again, and there's no inhibition. There's no inhibition whatsoever. What's on her mind, I hear about it. And so, but and obviously, me and the role I'm playing and my son are have the job to discipline and at the same time of freedom. But some of us, had some things shut down more. And so the more you're aware of yourself, the more you're with your feelings, the more you accept them and let yourself be with them. You allow them to be there without judgment. the more they transform. And as they transform, energy that had been inhibited before begins to get released. And the energy that is defensive becomes expressive. Because what you're really seeking is self-expression, which is the ultimate that human beings seek. Beyond that is simply the awakening. We want the freedom to be able to express ourselves unapologetically, which also means that we can enjoy intimacy and genuine communion. So get to know just really be with your feelings, and don't think of yourself as someone who can't put things into words, right? Because if that thought is there, I can't put things into words, you won't be able to put things into words, not because you can't, but because you believe you can't. The belief creates it. It creates the experience of it, but it's never the truth. The truth is there's never anything inhibiting you, ever, 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 ever. So by all means, just give yourself permission to express whenever you feel like expressing. And notice if there's a resistance to that. That's how you get to kind of the things that have inhibited us. Oh, there's some resistance to me. That. How about just thinking of myself as, I don't actually have a problem. I've created a problem for myself. Right? And yeah, that habit may continue for a while, but I created this as a problem. It's not really true. Just recognizing that will begin to shift the energy. And suddenly you'll catch yourself. You'll catch yourself the way you've shut different things down or inhibited yourself. And you'll gradually, maybe even quickly, come to a greater sense of freedom. Thank you, Earthbirth. Jay, sorry, but happy birthday. It's actually tomorrow, right? They had the party for me last night because they had to go somewhere today, and they're going on vacation tomorrow, so I get the whole place to myself. Love that. Melissa, birthday wishes, happiness and peace. Jay, oh, Steph, I couldn't help it but wish him a happy birthday. I slipped. Anne, happy birthday. Are you in the US or back in Europe? I'm in the US. I'm in Seattle again, trying to decide what my next move is. I had to come back here for some things. Wasn't my initial intention, but yeah, now I'm just kind of trying to sort some things out because I need a place to be able to do my thing here, right? It's quiet here today because they've gone out, but normally my granddaughter would be right over there just waiting impatiently for me to finish. Baba, Baba. Happy appearance day tomorrow. Thank you, Barbara. Galia Ivanova. What a beautiful name. I've experienced a couple of times getting in touch with this dimension of myself. It was incredible feeling and energy. I am looking, how can I get there more often? Is it possible to be there all the time? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Boy, I wish I had $1 for every time I got asked that question. Here's what's happening, Galia. Is it Galia or Galia? I'm going to go with Galia. When we have a glimpse of who we really are, all of our conditioning subsides for a moment. And there's just this incredible feeling of energy and peace and love and warmth and union. Right? And then what happens is that all the conditioned patterns begin to reassert themselves. And when that happens, the mind we begin to interpret this as an experience that I had. And then we set about trying to recreate that experience. Right? You can never recreate an experience. What you experienced was not an emotional state. It was the absence of it. You experienced yourself as yourself. Now, that experience is profound, it's moving, it stirs us, and it's very natural. It's so much better than our normal everyday life. Of course, God, give me more of that, give me more of that. But what happens is in our spiritual immaturity, we think of it as an experience, and now we're on the spiritual treadmill, trying to have yet another experience, another awakening moment. You can't experience it. Right? You are it. Here's a beautiful metaphor for that. Imagine you live somewhere where the sky was always gray, always, right? Years, right? And every now and then, every 5-10 years or something, this strange blue patch appears in the sky. See, the gray is the sky, isn't it? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this blue cloud, this blue patch appears in the sky. And everybody wonders about it and they marvel, like, oh my God, what is, oh, this is incredible. And they worship it and they make churches for it because it just kind of disappears then, right? Every couple of years it shows up and there's this blue thing appears. It must be a god, right? Well, over time we get better, we get more mature, we get to think about it more. And finally we get scientific and okay, it's time. We're going to see what is this blue thing that is always appearing in our sky? And so they have to wait, right? They've got the instruments, they're ready to go. They're in a hot air balloon. They don't have airplanes yet. And, waiting now could be a couple of years. Finally, it happens. The blue thing appears in the sky. Into the balloons, everybody gets all the equipment and everything, and up they fly, and they go, wow, as they're getting closer and closer, they're going to measure it, they're going to touch it. What is this thing? And before they know it, they go, oh my God, they're in it, they're going through it. And all of a sudden they pop out on the other side, and it's like, oh, this is the sky. This was the clouds. We're so used to the clouds that when the sky, the reality of you appears, we think of it as an experience and we want to reproduce it. What you experienced, Galia, is yourself. That is what you are really like. That is what you feel like. So when you say, is it possible to be there all the time? The answer is, it is not possible to feel ecstatic bliss all the time. If you did, it would get boring and you'd need more of it. That's what addictions are, right? It feels good. Now I feel bad. Oh, I got to get back to the, right? You recognize that all the ups and downs of feeling are appearing to that which is beyond all of it. And the more the sense of I, your sense of who you are, is identified with the blue spot, right, as the sky, even if the sky is completely gray, you now know that, oh, this is something in the way. It's not who I am. It's not the sky. It's something just simply blocking me seeing it. But this is where the metaphor falls down, because what can block you from seeing yourself? You can be blocked from having an ecstatic experience, but what is it that's aware of the ecstatic experience and that which is aware of the experiences that are not so ecstatic or difficult? That awareness. Can anything block you from that? That's you. And the more you realize that, the more and more you will have this feeling, right? But it won't be simply an ecstatic moment. It will be peace. And yes, it not only can be constant, it is constant. It's always there. It's simply the mind runs away, runs to things, right? The mind turns that feeling of the peace, that happiness you felt as always there, turns it into an experience and assumes it's not there. And that assumption is what creates the feeling that it's not there. The fact is, it's you. It's always been you. It always will be you. This is the realization. It is not a state that is attained. How do you attain what you already are? It's who you are. This is the realization. This is the true awakening. Does that answer for you, Galia or Galia? It is the biggest mistake in spirituality. The idea that the spiritual experience is somehow this perpetual ecstasy. It isn't. Nobody has it. I mean, Buddha got sick, got colds, died of dysentery. That's one. There's many different stories as to how he died. Right? Nisargadatta died of throat cancer. He just wasted away to almost nothing. Right? But that wasn't his experience. He was like, it's my body. It has nothing to do with me. Right? It's the background of peace that's always there, and enjoys thoroughly those ecstatic moments when they happen, those moments of pure bliss, right? Even, the physical bliss, not just the spiritual bliss, but it's also there at the trying times, the time of grief and loss, right? Which is also part of life. Right? The mistake is thinking that spiritual awakening is an experience. It isn't. It's you. It's you without anything there but you. This is the realization. And when there's nothing there but you, it is perfect stillness. It is neither ecstatic or the opposite. Thank you very much for that. One of the two ways I said your name was right. Jojo loves it. I'll be replaying this satsang several times around the 1 hour mark. Thank you. You're welcome. Jim Rich, I'm uncomfortable. What is uncomfortable? Me, the ego. I'm uncomfortable. Am I an ego? No. Then what am I? I don't know. I just am. All caps. Yes. Yeah. Who are you? I don't know. I don't know. The moment I know something, I've put myself in a box. I know how I appear. A 70-year-old man sitting in my granddaughter's playroom with a light and a camera and a microphone, talking to all of you. That's how I appear. What am I? God, I don't know. There's the famous conversation between Bodhidharma, who brought Zen Buddhism from India to China, talking to the emperor, who was very much into, ethnic Buddhism. Buddhism was very big, and he had spent a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of monks and thousands of temples he had built. And so he meets with Bodhidharma, and they have this very short conversation. And the emperor, recounting all the wonderful things he does, says, so what merit am I going to get for all of this? Thinking, my merit for my next life, although what could be better than being the emperor, right? And to which Bodhidharma responds, no merit. The emperor's shocked because this is the base of his whole religion. He goes, no merit. Then what's the meaning of these holy scriptures? To which Bodhidharma says, vast emptiness, nothing holy. Now the emperor's like furious. He goes, who are you? And to which Bodhidharma responds, I have no idea. The Zen master who brought Zen he was kind of the equivalent in his day of the Dalai Lama, who brought Zen Buddhism to Asia, right? And from China to Thailand, to Korea, to Japan, all over Asia. It was because of him. Asked, who are you? And he says, I have no idea. Be nobody. Nobody in particular. Kingdale Clark. Oh, Kingdale Clark, happy birthday. Thank you. Lisa, as usual, I feel confused. How can I help, Lisa? Vanyashi, there's so much love in crying. Yes, there is. Jay, thank you. It's refreshing, recentering, and a reminder when listening to a true teacher. Thank you, Jay. Mascarenas Saraj, can you tell me what of all the thoughts I can have to be perfect health? What am I already as what all am I already as far as regarding perfect health? Drop perfect health as a goal, right? Because then if health is the goal, everything I'm doing is for health, right? It's not spiritual anymore. You're not being devoted to truth. You're being devoted to an outcome. It's not to say it's not a good outcome and not a desirable one, but it's nothing. That's not where we should be. We should be directing our life. The energy of our life is too important and too precious for such a transient and temporary outcome. Drop the idea of doing it for your health and instead pick up the inquiry as to who am I? I want to know who I am no matter what, whether I'm in good health or bad health, or rich or for poor, no matter what's happening, I want to know who I am. That to me is the only thing a human being can really, it's the only thing worthy of the attention and passion of the human being. Everything, if you do that, because it is the highest, it will take care of everything else. But this is one of the problems. People trying to practice manifestation, right? Instead of sticking with the actual premise, the actual law, as it were, right? There's always an eye looking back. It's always for some result, which means you're not purely in the engagement. You're not really engaging in the actual principle because you're always measuring it. Right? It's always serving some other interest. Our search for truth is for truth's sake. It's not for what we get for it. Right? You know, people who they believe in God, they're going to get to heaven. Well, would you still be so passionately believing in God if there was no heaven to get? If it was just God, that's all you got? It becomes like, yeah, I love you, God, because you're going to give me heaven. I get this great reward. Isn't this wonderful? How about the love of God for the sake of God, because God is lovable? Ooh, that's completely different. What if there was no great reward, streets paved with gold? Would you still love? Would you still want to know what was true? What can be more satisfying? What can be what could be a possibly greater completion than to know what is absolutely true? Nothing can compare to that. Yeah. So that would be my recommendation. Don't go searching for the right thoughts to get health. Search for the thoughts that tell you who you are. Seek out the teachers that tell you who you are. Read the books that tell you who you are. And forget results. They will only lead you down blind alleys. And they will make you reject things you should be accepting and accept things that you should be rejecting, because you'll be measuring them according to a standard other than truth. So, love you. So crazy out there without teachers like you and Moochie. Thank you. The thought to aim for is I am. Yes. And then, this is Kingdale Clark again. The thought to aim for is I am. And then go beyond the thought, because it's just a thought, right? Before the thought I am was there had to be the sense I am, right? So go to this feeling of I am, even without the thought. The thought's not 100% necessary, right? You can see that that's secondary. And then you can take it one step further, because even the feeling that I am could only be there if I am. There's something that's there even before I feel like I am. I am. Before there's any evidence whatsoever. of any kind, even the most subtle, I must exist. I must be there first before any experience can happen whatsoever. So take it from the thought I am, and notice all the places. How many times a day do you say I am? I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that, all day long. So just notice that that's all an assertion of the I am. Every time I am, full stop. Just drop everything else off. You don't need it. Every time you're about to say I am, I am. That's for sure. I am this or that, questionable. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But I am, that's always true. Okay, good. I'm in the truth now. And then go, okay, but there's a feeling of being. There's just a feeling of presence. Oh, wow. And then you'll notice that there's something aware even of that. That too is secondary. That's the firstborn of the Father. That there's something even more subtle that is aware of that, even the sense of being. Isn't that you? It's not somebody else that's aware of that sense of being. It's you. And that's the end of the road. You can't go any further than that because there's nothing having an experience of that. It is the ultimate absolute experiencer, the self, you. Thank you so much for your wisdom. You're so welcome, Suraj. Yeah. Be able to catch you. Hello and good, Mary. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Eva, thank you for uplifting and thank you for what you're going to do with us. Happy birthday. Thank you, Mary. Oh, it's kind of nice to get the birthday wishes from people that I actually have relationships with. That that I know. It's just all the people you never know on Facebook and the like. Thank you, says Galia. Oh, you're very welcome. I really hope that was helpful. It is it's a very subtle little trap that people on the spiritual path can fall into. And it's my job to make sure you don't fall into it. Plan. Thank you again for sharing the not too wisdom, GP, and happy birthday. Thank you. Mary. Ajay Shanti had a great talk the other day that was so good. It was in reference to a man's question of his particular experiencing, like my own. The experience was that of his expanded awareness continued. Oh boy, here we are. Webcam chat, hot girls. Okay, thank you. Lock the user. Get away. Okay. Then he called soul, and Ajishani asked what still remained after the experience, which helped him to understand that soul spirit holds no thing in itself, but that everything passes through it. Even love and the feelings of expansion pass through soul and is not the soul itself. This was an eye-opener for me as I held the belief that soul was love and not the medium that all experiences flow through. Yes, soul is love. Soul is love, but we only think of love. We think of soul as a thing, and we think of love as an activity because we see, oh, that's a loving act. But the loving act can only be seen and recognized as love by love, which is not an act. So the nature of the soul, so it's not that it's the experience of love and loving and wisdom and intelligence and creativity and fun. All these experiences, including love as experience, are all passing through soul itself, soul with a capital S, the one soul, the one love, the indescribable. Right? Even using the word love is beyond it. That's the perfume of it, but yet that's its nature. Is my example of music. You can't describe music. You can only hum the tune or clap or lay down the groove. That's all you can do, and yet music is obviously real. Love is the same thing. Everything passes through. Soul is another name for the self. That is the ultimate absolute experiencer of all things. So beautiful, Mary. I love Anjashanti. I love him. Earth Birth. Much gratitude for your answer to my previous question. Hoping you'll be around for another 70 years. Well, we'll see. We'll see. My birth certificate didn't have an expiration date, so we don't know for sure. Let's see. Deep thanks and gratitude as always, G. Enjoy your day of peace and solitude tomorrow. I will. Thank you. Is there somebody I missed? Thank you. Thank you. Nope. Okay. Very good. Will you be staying in the U.S. or returning to Europe, Germany? I don't know what I'm going to be doing, because with Europe, unless I can find some place to get permanent, to get residency, I can only be there 3 months out of 6, right? Which is why I had to leave. And they actually counted the days when I went through immigration, leaving Germany. They counted. Oh, you've been here a long time. They counted up, 85 days. So they do watch that kind of thing. Tatiana, I just wanted to share something that Carl Jung said. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Yes. Yes. Amen, Carl. Jim, I had a little experience with the psychic realm and can see that arriving over in heaven is also a kind of experience that someone is having in and as the absolute, or whatever that is called. Beautiful. Yes, that's exactly the case. Even heaven is just experienced. Glorious lights and heavenly beings. But wait, that's not what I am, because I'm looking at it. What am I? This is the question. What am I? And that's the absolute. The I, completely seen without any reference to anything other than itself, is the absolute. That's the truth. And it goes beyond all words. Absolute, we use these words, but again, they're pointers. How do you point to something that's everywhere? Lisa Marie, happy birthday, G. Your presence is a gift. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much, Lisa Marie. Is this my old friend, Lisa Marie, that we haven't talked in a long, long time? We've only met in person a couple of times. Is that the same one? That'd be wonderful. John, many thanks, G. Please, yes, Tatiana, Mary, great. All right, 2 hours and 1 minute. We got through all the questions. Alrighty, you are the self. Right? The self is not something you're going to attain. It's not something you're going to get to. It's something you realize. That's why it's a realization. It is not an attainment. It's not an accomplishment. You don't become the self. You are the self. It is the recognition of that. And that recognition, which has already happened in all of you, or you wouldn't be here, right? Holding to that recognition, living with it, abiding in it, will dismantle all of the thoughts that say you're not that. And that's the only thing we have to do. It's the only practice. That is, in a sense, a practice, but you're not practicing to become something. You are the something, and you are simply eliminating everything that says you're not. So, until next time, everyone, I will be doing a meditation tomorrow for the Enlightened World Network. My show is, of course, on Tuesday, which will be right here. And the show you might find very interesting, many of you. The show this week is called God is a Disowned Voice. So until then, dear friends, namaste.